Driving games are one of the genres that I like to relax and turn my brain off to. I love RPGs and intricate stories, but sometimes I just want to have to not pay attention and get a good speed kick. So here's Burnout Paradise and Driver San Francisco, both very similar games with a few key differences that set them apart. Let's talk about Burnout first. The first in the series that I played originally was Burnout 2 on the first Xbox, and it was fantastic. If you want an insane sense of speed and an arcadey sort of feel from your driving game, then you should absolutely play Burnout Paradise. Hold the boost button, never slow down, throw your car into corners, pull off extreme drifts and stunts, all while feeling like you're still in control. It's a formula that the series has perfected and managed to stay true to throughout the years. Most of the cars don't feel like they actually have any weight at all. Unless you pick something like the A-Team van or the huge 4x4s, you'll find that everything turns and glides around really quite easily. However, those bigger vehicles do feel like absolute tanks, and you'll end up crashing them way more often when asked to make a sharp turn. Mind you, you'll actually want to do that, since crashing into your opponents in Burnout is incentivized with the takedown system, giving you more boost and filling up your entire boost bar every time you wreck another driver. There's also the Showtime Mode, which allows you to cause massive crash pile-ups and earn a score based on how much destruction you fuel. Think Blues Brothers kind of stuff. It's a fun mode, and you can activate it whenever you like when you're free roaming around the map. The map itself is hit and miss for me. While it's very well made and very creative, featuring lots of shortcuts, things to find, smash, jump and distinct districts, it also feels very small with how the events work. Every race, time trial, burning route and marked man event starts in similar places, and all of them end at very specific locations. The map starts to feel very small when you end up racing to the country club or the naval yard every 10 minutes or so. There's also no instant fast travel in the game unless you count just driving. That's fairly quick, that's the point of the game. So if you do end up in the mountains, you'll face a long drive back down to the city to find more events. However, Burnout Paradise has a huge variety of vehicles and events to play, all of which you unlock at a good pace and can jump in and out of at a moment's notice. It's great for when you just want to hop on and drive fast for an hour or two. Driver San Francisco is similar in that you can absolutely do the same sort of thing, however it does have more depth to the game. It allows you to free roam around and jump into various races, chases, stunts, and dares and story missions whenever you like, and that's the key difference, it has story missions. But free roaming in this game feels much more like a sandbox experience, with the addition of the shift mechanic, allowing you to fast travel and switch to any car you like instantly. You can jump into events and different situations that are happening all over the city way more easily than you can in Burnout. The map feels much bigger than Paradise and is an accurate representation and recreation of real San Francisco, which is cool because landmarks make the city more interesting. You could say that the map has less uniquely crafted aspects because of its realism, and it suffers for that, but the overall feel of it makes it seem like there's always more to explore. I certainly haven't seen everything in the city yet. The realism doesn't stop just at the map though, it also affects the driving mechanics too. Cars in this game feel much heavier than they do in Burnout, and while it's still fairly easy to drift them around corners, which, by the way, is highly satisfying in both games, you can definitely tell the difference when you need to actually slow down to avoid crashing in San Francisco. Traffic in the city and on the freeway in particular is hugely varied as well. In Burnout you'll often face open roads and clear paths so that you can always keep boosting at maximum speed, whereas in Driver you'll come across blocks of really heavy traffic that challenge your ability to weave and stay in control and not careen face first into other vehicles. Speaking of vehicles, both games feature a large variety of things to drive. Burnout has mostly road cars with some larger vans and things, GT cars and some classics, whereas Driver has a greater number of options including vans, lorries, semis, fire trucks, hypercars and classic cars and more, all licensed from real life counterparts. The Lamborghini Countach is in both games, but the Burnout version isn't quite the same because they couldn't license it, so it has some various differences. It also slightly looks like a Lamborghini Diablo, but you know. Which means that I love the one in Driver much more. That thing is a classic poster car for me. What makes San Francisco stand out though are, as I said before, the story missions and the movie challenges in particular. The story itself was great and I enjoyed those missions the most. Each of them was different and the objectives were always varied. Beat a race? Well, now try beating a race with 2 cars at the exact same time. They made the shift mechanic do some very cool things in the game, but my biggest problem were the missions that required me to defend a static point and crash cars into assaulting NPC vehicles for several minutes at a time. Those missions outstayed their welcome very quickly. The movie challenges are another huge highlight for the game. If you've ever seen any action film with any car chase in it and wanted to play that scene and involve yourself in it, well, chances are that it might be in this game. Gone in 60 Seconds, Vanishing Point, The Blues Brothers, Bullet, LA Connection, Cannonball Run, although it's not really a film, Getaway in Stockholm, not really a film again, Starsky and Hutch. These are just some of the chases recreated in Driver San Francisco, and the music in particular during each of these is really cool. The Blues Brothers chase was absolutely quintessentially awesome to me. So overall, both games share many similarities and, as I said to begin with, a few key differences. When it comes down to picking one over the other, it's a difficult choice. I'd say that if you're looking for a jump-in arcade experience, then go with Burnout Paradise. If you're looking for a more realistic driving simulation or a story with some different features, then try Driver San Francisco. If you're just looking for an interesting map to drive around in, then, well, hey, both are great choices and I recommend flipping a coin if you can't choose. Burnout Paradise and Driver San Francisco were an absolute ton of fun to play, and they were both a joy. I'm MagicalMike, and I'm Quids In with both of these games. Cheers!